right, so over the next few weeks, we're going to go over conditioning in baseball, what's done well with it, what's done poorly with it, and kind of the why behind those things. To start out with, we're going to go over the energy systems used in sport. So we have the aerobic or oxidative system, glycolytic and repeat power, and then our anaerobic, our ATP, PCR, speed system. So, and those really exist on a spectrum. One end is uses exclusively oxygen, and one doesn't use any oxygen at all. So, if we were to kind of draw that spectrum, okay, starting at the top with the oxidative aerobic system would be the most. And then as we move our way down, it goes to less and less oxygen, with the glycolytic and repeat power kind of being the halfway, kind of uses oxygen and kind of doesn't. So if you look at baseball, right, pretty static, not a whole lot of moving around. Yet if we go to almost any baseball practice across the country, most coaches will typically finish with running pulls or running laps around the field, wanting to get their guys quote unquote in shape, to minimize arm soreness or fatigue or anything like that. That's wrong for a whole bunch of reasons. One is you're not training for the demands of sport at all. There's no steady state running in baseball. It's typically very short and max effort sprinting. So just on a base level, it doesn't make really any sense at all. On a secondary level, a lot of coaches use it as a reasoning. Oh, I want to flush the lactic acid from my pitchers, or kind of run out the soreness. That doesn't exist. It never has existed. The soreness caused from throwing and pitching is just like the soreness caused in weightlifting. The muscles experience little micro tears. That's where the soreness comes from. Any amount of running isn't going to flush that or change that, or make that any better. So when we look at this, okay, you want to train for the needs of the sport. Okay, if you are insistent on training the oxidative aerobic system, that should have been done already in the fall, um, you know, long before any sort of, really intense direct practice leading up in the games. And the reason for that is the training reserve or the training effect, how long each attribute sticks with us. So with the oxidative aerobic system, okay, anywhere from 30 plus or minus 5 days. Okay, so we don't have to touch that skill for a month, and we will still have the same skill level that we had when we trained it a month ago. And then as we go down, okay, the glycolytic repeat power is anywhere from 15 to 18 days, plus or minus 4 or 5. And then the ATP, anaerobic or speed, is 5 plus or minus 3 days. Okay, now these two are almost where baseball is exclusively played. And if we really want to be technical with it, baseball is basically played in the anaerobic or speed zone. So now you guys can kind of see where training for, quote unquote conditioning and aerobic fitness doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Now, yes, like I said before, it should be done in the fall, because you need to have some base level of training before we are able to then repeat intense bouts. There's absolute no doubt to that. But again, if you're doing aerobic conditioning in season, and as much as some schools are, 3, 4, 5 times a week, all you're doing is making your athletes slow, tired, and disinterested, which are not going to help you win games in the slightest. So basically, going forward, what we're going to do is go over ways that we can improve upon our, quote unquote conditioning tactics, and train for the more needs of the sport. Again, you can get conditioning in these more anaerobic systems. You can produce power, produce speed, and all those sorts of things. If you take down the rest time, okay, increase the oxygen demand, you're going to kind of flirt with the two systems, and we'll be training the needs for the sport, again, reaching those higher velocity